Sharanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampadhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tangram Krishnam Shirasha Namami. O Lord, who is taintless, eternally existing and limitless, who has taken so many different forms, and have taken the form of a human being incarnated to grace your devotees. Who is the ultimate object of worship. I bow down to you, O Ramakrishna. So, dear friends, from yesterday, we are talking about this concept or idea of personality of Sri Ramakrishna. So yesterday we mentioned about many other great intellectuals and spiritual figures from both back in India where Sri Ramakrishna was living and lived, to those who lived outside India and had a background of a different culture and religion, and trying to understand how within a very short period of time his personality started revealing in a way that people could not but take notice of it. And then we also were discussing that of all those great personalities, writers, authors, thinkers, philosophers, among them that we can really pay more attention to were started with Swami Vivekananda first, and then because Swami Vivekananda did not do a lot of work on this aspect, because within a very short period of time, Swamiji had to do a whole lot of work. Too many different areas to cover, and that too within a very, very short lifespan. Therefore, Swamiji, though he said that he was not fit to describe who Sri Ramakrishna was, that was his um, excuse. His excuse why he won't write a biography of Sri Ramakrishna or say more about Sri Ramakrishna. Whatever he said, that was uh, the crown jewel of everything that were described about Sri Ramakrishna, as we know of it, because everywhere in the evening Vesper services, we sing those words that Swami Vivekananda said about Sri Ramakrishna, whether it was Khandanabhav Bandhana or Om Himritam Tamachal. Whatever Swamiji said about Sri Ramakrishna, though he said that I am nobody capable of describing who Sri Ramakrishna was, and I myself had not understood anything about him. But whatever he said, that is what rest of us, not only us, from his brother disciples, since then, we are repeating that as the appropriate prayer for Sri Ramakrishna. What he said. Much more excellent, grammatically correct, and also poetic in Sanskrit. Verses have been authored by others, like Swami Ramakrishna-ji or Virajananda-ji or others. They have written much nicer passages about Sri Ramakrishna. But what Swamiji said, that is way more superior in the spiritual sense and therefore much more appropriate. And therefore they are being sung as the prayer to Sri Ramakrishna. But even after Swami Vivekananda, whatever he said about Sri Ramakrishna, we had concluded yesterday that the way, thoroughness in the research on the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna that were done and shown by both Swami Sharadananda-ji and Sri Mahendranath Gupta, M., Gospel writer, they are incomparable. There is no parallel to these two works. And of these two, this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna has got the popularity, a natural acceptance, and the utility, usefulness, that also excels. Swami Sharadanandaji's writing is a wonderful source to learn a lot about Sri Ramakrishna, but the way the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna supports the spiritual life of the devotees, the followers of Sri Ramakrishna, that is incomparable. It cannot be compared even with Swami Sharadanandaji's, the great master. And that gives a first-hand and immediate access to the life or a glimpse into the life of Sri Ramakrishna. So, we were paying within our very short period more attention to how M looked at Sri Ramakrishna, or what was the personality of Sri Ramakrishna as he painted in his own words, how he looked at Sri Ramakrishna. What was his personality? So this, we just mentioned it, that there is this first part of the book, the Gospel. It begins with the chapter called Master and his disciple, or servant, Sevak. He did not say Bhakta. So there are 4 different days that has been mentioned there when he came and saw Sri Ramakrishna. And it all started with an accidental visit to this temple ground. It has been discussed or disclosed in the biography of M that he was disturbed in his family life, and therefore to give him some kind of a support, his brother-in-law Sidhu, he had brought him to Baranagar area where the in-laws they lived there. M, the gospel writer Mahendranath Gupta, he lived in the central Calcutta. Those days, now what is known as North Calcutta, that was the center of Calcutta city. And there he lived. Those of you who have visited those places, they know all those important houses that are now our treasure historical buildings, whether it is Holy Mother's house in Bagbazar or Balram Bosu's house, or very small fraction of the house that Girish Chandra Ghosh lived in, or where Swami Vivekananda was born, or where afterwards, when Sri Ramakrishna was brought to Calcutta for much staying nearer to doctors for treatment so that the doctor could regularly visit him, that's Shampukur house. They are all very nearby, within walking distance almost. And then there is M's house also very close by. That is the same locality, same neighborhood. So this is M, and he was brought to Baranagar, which was considered outside the city. And there, Sidhu, brother-in-law, he was giving him company, not leaving him alone, because he was very, very disturbed mentally. And then suggests him that, would you like to visit a temple complex on the bank of river Ganga? You like it. It is a nice place. And he did not talk much about the deity. He mentioned it is a temple complex. But what he was talking about was a beautiful garden. He said there a very nice garden is there. Flowers are there. Because he knew that M was a lover of nature. He had a poetic mindset. And though he was religious minded, but not really a traditional Hindu pattern of religion that he was following very much. Where a Hindu should be every day doing some kind of a worship, ritualistic worship. That was not his style. Though later on in his house, those of you who have visited that house is now belonging to the Ramakrishna Mutt, the descendants of M, they have given it to the Belur Mutt, and it is a part of the Belur Mutt. There is a small shrine there, but M personally was not interested in doing regular puja. He was more interested in the new wave religion that were introduced by the much more popular and famous and influential Brahmo Samaj teachers that were there in Calcutta those days. So he was occasionally visiting the Keshav Chandra Sen's lectures, and otherwise he would be himself doing some study. He was great admirer of Vidyasagar. Ishtananda Vidyasagar himself was not following any kind of a ritualistic Hinduism, though he himself would be considering himself as a Hindu, not a Brahmo, neither he had any interest in Brahmo Samaj, but he was not a follower of ritualistic Hinduism either. And M, both because of being an employee in the Ishtananda Vidyasagar school, and also otherwise because Ishtananda Vidyasagar was a very great and noble-hearted person, well known in the society. He was an admirer of Ishtananda Vidyasagar. He greatly admired him. So this was the state of mind of M. And therefore we find that Sidhu was advising him to let us go and visit that temple garden because it is a nice garden. It's a nice garden. Beautiful. You will find it nice. And also there lives a holy man there. So that is next to the garden importance. So, and hardly any mention about what are the other gods and goddess images are there. And that was not that important as he was invited to go there and agreed. And this is the way they started going there. And then they goes there, and after a little bit walking around, they went to that room where that sadhu is sitting there. So he goes there and he finds, and as I have mentioned, that it was a weekday, 26th of February, and it was not a regular weekend when more devotees would be coming there. It was a weekday. And therefore not too many devotees were there. But he went there. And some devotees were sitting there. And Sri Ramakrishna was on the wooden couch. It is translated, but it is there in his room. There are two different, either call it cot or the bed or call couch. One is a little larger size, a little elevated, where Sri Ramakrishna slept. And when Holy Mother for the first time came from Jairambati, she was also allowed to sleep there next to Sri Ramakrishna. Though afterwards Holy Mother had to be moved from there to the Nahavat house because Holy Mother could not sleep the whole night. That was the problem. And she was a young woman, still in her teens, a teenage girl, 17 years old. And she was told, yeah, you can sleep here. And that is the same bed. And Sri Ramakrishna, whole night he will be going now and then into Samadhi. And the Samadhi, Holy Mother did not understand what is that. She would be scared and she will think that the man has died because there is no breathing, nothing happening. It is in whichever position, lying position, sitting position, any position, he will not have any sign of life. So naturally, Holy Mother will be totally very scared. In the middle of the night, see, even those days when the women will not be talking to other men, and that too in the middle of the night, she was first time so scared that she had to call out for some help, and Hidayah Ram had to run and rush and all this thing. And later on, knowing this problem, Sri Ramakrishna advised Holy Mother what to do when she would see him in deep samadhi and chant this name and do this thing, and I doesn't come back. So after staying there for a couple of months, so Holy Mother had to be, then Sri Ramakrishna understood that that's enough for her to stay here. she was not sleeping the whole night. So she had no sleep in the night, and therefore she would be very tired. So she had to be transferred to the no, but that is the room. So that bed is the first. That is the bed uh, with not so thick a mattress, very thin. And next to that is a smaller height, another wooden uh, small size bed-like thing, which is translated as couch. So when you read in the gospel, Sri Ramakrishna was seated on the couch, then don't think of our couches, how they look like. It's not a couch. It is that kind of wooden plank, flat, with very thin something spread on it, where Sri Ramakrishna could sit with legs down, hanging from there. That is the point. He had no such hard and fast rule, no formality, nothing. So he could sit there, he could sit, come back on the floor where most of the devotees, they will come there and they will be sitting on the floor there. Sometime in the corner there will be a mattress, straw mattress. In Bengal it is called madur. So that is what they will, it is a rolled, and they will take out and put it on the floor, uh, and then people could sit there. Once in a rare while, Sri Ramakrishna would invite someone out of affection, you come here, and put him to sit next to him on that couch. So this is the arrangement. So M and Sidhu, they entered into the room and stood standing there in one corner of the room, and they are watching. Because this is the first time they are coming, they did not know much about it. And there they watched and saw that this very serene looking man, and he was in his mid 40s. He is sitting there on that couch, and there on the floor, some of the other devotees, they are sitting there, and he is speaking about God, about religion, and all. And those who are sitting down below with rapt attention, they are listening to him. This is the first thing that they saw. And he felt in his heart, this is the first observation, how he looked at Sri Ramakrishna, what he thought about Sri Ramakrishna. He saw, oh, how nice, how beautiful. How beautiful words he is saying. What a peaceful place this is. I like this place very much. I want to be here. He felt at the first visit, at first sight, he felt like that. How holy. And then in his mind, he had a background of Vaishnava followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was the background. So in many different places you will find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he compares with that. So he says in his mind, as he has noted down, how holy and serene and beautiful it looks, as if it is the heaven in which, and these people are like heavenly people, godly people, sacred place. Like in one place, all the different gods and goddesses are there. Or as if it is the Sukdeva himself is speaking, preaching about the divine teachings to the many different holy men seated in front of him, or as if Gauranga, he thought of Gauranga. Gauranga means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's called Gauranga. Because most of the Bengalis are dark skinned, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a fair skin, so people are very happy calling him. Anga means body, Gaur means fair. So he who had a fair skin. So that was his his name was not Gauranga, but that was by what name people called him. Because there was the tradition that you don't call a person by his or her name if he or she is senior to you or honorable, respectable. Respectable persons are not called by name. So a person has to be called. You don't call, hey Ramakrishna, you don't call. You say Thakur. So there was, this is the tradition. This is the tradition. Whenever it is a respectable person, then you don't call the person by name. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot be called by name. So he could be called by some other. So that other thing is mostly adjective. So instead of proper noun, you give some adjective and those qualities. And Gauranga is that name. So Gauranga, he thought in his mind that as if Gauranga in Jagannath Puri is surrounded by his followers like Ramananda and Swarup Goswami and others, and he is talking of the Lord. This was the feeling of him in his mind. So that was the impression he had. Then he thought that I like it very much, but let me go and check out what are the other places around. After staying there for a while in that room. So both of them, they walks out. And so here there is no mention about what Sri Ramakrishna said, what he was talking. There is no mention. It is just the impression. It is the first impression. After entering into the room, seeing these people and the atmosphere that it was creating, he felt that kind of feeling here. That oh, this is a heavenly place. It is wonderful, holy, and so peaceful and calm. This is the place really I want to be. But then he said that let us go and see where we have come and what are the other. So they went away. And it was afternoon period. So they went and moved around and saw. And those of you who have visited the Kali temple area, you know that the place is quite expensive. So if they had gone to visit what are the other temples are there and the river Ghat, that is also quite large size. We don't know if they went all the way to touch the river, most likely. And then there are other the areas of the garden area. And then they returns back and then they saw that by that time the room was a little bit shut. So people had already left. Those 3-4 people were seated on the ground. They did not know who they are. No description is there. Simply they came and they saw that the room is a little bit, it is not shut tight, but the doors are like covered. And then they came and found that it is evening time. So, is it appropriate to go in? And is the sadhu still there inside? So they saw that the elderly maid servant of the temple ground, her name was Brinde. So they saw this maid servant in front of that house. And they asked her that where, where are others and about this. She said, no, people have gone, but the Sri Ramakrishna is there, Thakur is there inside. So they inquired first about him because they had not yet asked about Thakur. So the Brinde said that, oh, he is living here for many, many years. He lives here for many years. Uh, and he gives all those teachings. So they they asked her, does he read a lot of books? Because they had seen he was talking so much wonderful, very valuable teachings, scriptural, religious teachings fluently. So M had the idea until then that people have to read a lot of books to know to have knowledge. You have to be really learned man to open your mouth. And he appeared to be very knowledgeable person as he was talking, as he had heard. So he said, is he a man who has learned a lot? He reads a lot of books. Then Binde said, books? Oh my, oh God, or something he said. Uh, uh, he doesn't read any book or anything. Everything is on his tongue. He, everything is on his tongue. He doesn't require reading books. So M had a surprise. He never had heard or known some such thing that somebody who doesn't read books, but he has got so much knowledge and who could speak so very with authority, fluently. He had never thought of that before until then. Then he asked her, would you please go and find out, seek his permission so that we would again come, enter in his room? She says, why, my boys, you don't have, we don't need any permission. You just go there and sit. So that also a kind of surprise to M because he was until now learned from his upbringing in the city of Calcutta that when you meet a person, there's a formality, there's some way to meet a respectable person whom people come to see him and all the things. He is an important person. And there is no formality here. It is very simple and easy, and you just, most informal way, you just go, approach him, meet him, everything is free and open, no formality whatsoever. That level of ease of access and simplicity, an informal way. So, what we see in the gospel that M has started painting the personality of Sri Ramakrishna in this way. That what Sri Ramakrishna he saw, that he is a very wonderful, spiritual, holy vibration around him. People are listening to him with rapt attention. And this man is so easy for accessing and has no formal introduction necessary, no permission necessary. You go sit down in his room and you talk to him, and everything is all easy. He is a wonderful, he is very highly spiritual, a great teacher, but he is easily accessible and he is not formal. And he is not learned in the otherwise worldly sense that he has been till now understood or thought about it. So this is the first personality that Sri Ramakrishna's personality he is painting. M with his own special way. Then he goes, they both of them they enter in his room. And then they sat in front of him. Until then they were not sitting. They first came and they stood in one corner of the room and were listening to whatever he was talking before again going out, etc. This time they sat down and there, and Sri Ramakrishna looked at him. But they noticed that, and it was already after the sunset, it was a dusk time, after dusk. And they saw Sri Ramakrishna was trying to talk to them, but he was kind of absent-minded. That is what M thought. He was absent-minded and he was not able to talk very much to them. Just he hinted or waved his hand to tell them sit there. So they sat and he remained absent-minded. And this absent-mindedness was described by M that this absent-mindedness was occasionally he is trying to open his eyes, trying to speak as if something, but he could not. He returns back to his absent-mindedness as if he is lost in some another thought where he goes deeply into it, occasionally returning back. And then he compared it to somebody, an angler who is trying to catch a fish with a rod. So when an angler trying to catch a fish, then he is with whole lot of attention, he is watching the float. And once in a while, when the bait is being swallowed by a fish occasionally and again thrown out, but the float makes a vibration, a little bit of dipping, again surfacing. This angler, he becomes very tense. His whole attention is there on that float, and he holds his rod much more with a stern and firm grip, and then he is very much paying attention to when this fish will actually take the bait in his mouth and try to drag it, and then the float will be completely be deep. So his whole attention is there on the float and all the thing. This is the picture of an angler who is almost expecting the float to dip any moment, and therefore he cannot pay any other attention outside that. He is wholesome, wholly. His mind is there. This concentration of mind and this complete absence of any other idea or thought from his mind. This is what has been given as a simile to what Sri Ramakrishna was appearing like. He says that later on he learned that this is called bhava, and this is called bhava, which Sri Ramakrishna occasionally would go into after the dusk, after the sunset. He would be many times it has been noticed by him also, and he was told also that this is nothing, don't worry. Sri Ramakrishna goes into bhava. His mind is more deeply into the thought of God at that time when the sun sets and it is evening time. So don't worry about it. Later on they'll learn. But at that time, sitting there, he had no clarity or understanding about what is going on. They only saw that other people had already left, and they were told, don't worry, you don't need any permission, you can go in, you can sit down. And so they came in and they sat down and they saw that Sri Ramakrishna was sitting down. But he was just one or two words he said, but otherwise his mind was not there, either on them or to talk about anything. So eventually, what they could do, they stood up, making him pranam, and they were about to leave. Then Sri Ramakrishna, even in that state of his mind, even in that state of his mind, when he was unable to remain in the ordinary level of consciousness and talking to people, just worldly things or formal talks. Even in that state, Sri Ramakrishna said, oh, you are leaving? Come again, he said. Now, this had a deep effect in the heart of him. He felt in his mind, and that is described here, that what he has described as he saw in the first sight to save the Sri Ramakrishna, what Sri Ramakrishna he saw, what personality, what side of the person. He saw that here is a holy man uh, who doesn't require any kind of formality, who is the very holy and pious person, in the presence of whom the atmosphere is so highly spiritually charged that those examples that came to his mind that I already mentioned. But at the same time, this person, though he did not know them, who they are, and there is nothing to gain or benefit from them or anything, he had genuine love because he was not a man of formality. So it was not something to to show a social some kind of a courtesy behavior that he mentioned. He said that come again, but it was a kind of a genuine love for them and a feeling that they wanted to listen to his more talks and they had come from somewhere. Therefore, with a genuine love and genuine feeling, Sri Ramakrishna said to M, he felt that come again. So while they're returning back, M continuously thought that yes, this is a wonderful place and I feel like I want to come back again. And he has also said it. He has also said it to come again. So this is the feeling. Then he returns back and comes back quickly the second day. Second day he comes back. And there he finds that why he came back so quickly? Because he all along was having a strong attraction to Sri Ramakrishna, strong feeling attraction in his heart that he needed to go back. This attraction of Sri Ramakrishna was a different kind of attraction. And he was all, as I mentioned, that just this word that Sri Ramakrishna himself said, oh, you are going to come back again. That was ringing in his ear, and deep in his heart, he was feeling a strong pull about Sri Ramakrishna. So this he has in the entire gospel. M has mentioned that Sri Ramakrishna had this magnetic personality. So what kind of personality Sri Ramakrishna had? This is one particular feature. All holy people have got their magnetic pull. You know? But those pull, they are felt by those who are ready for that. Others won't be feeling. It can be compared with what Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned that God is like a big magnet and every individual soul is like a small iron chip. And it is but natural that this iron chip should be attracted to the magnet. So all people should be naturally and obviously be God oriented and loving God alone, not the world. Spontaneously, it should happen. That should be naturally happening because God is like a big magnet. But individual soul, like a small chip, iron chip, needle or something, it should be attracted, but it doesn't feel the attraction on account of lots of rubbish covering the small needle or small iron chip, the dirt, the dirt of worldliness, the ignorance, that appears in the form of the attraction for everything other than God. The Maya portion of it, which is manifested in the form of everything. And that is covering the individual soul's real self, and therefore the attraction for God is not felt. Now, with the help of a lot of spiritual practices and prayer and tears, when gradually the dirt is washed away, then that soul feels the attraction. So it can be compared with that every holy man, and if a person is holiest of the holy, like Sri Ramakrishna sitting there, will have a natural attraction for whoever would be ever coming to him. In one of the um, hymns, uh, Vedanta has mentioned that people just by hearing your name are so much attracted to you, how unlucky we are that even after seeing you, we don't feel so much devotion. So have mercy on us. Like that, Abhedanandi has mentioned that just by listening, hearing your name, they feel so much attraction for you. So this is a natural thing to happen. If a person is prepared or ready, then the person will have the feel of love of God. And a holy person like Sri Ramakrishna sitting there and somebody has seen him and he has said, come back again, then the attraction will be too strong. And then later on, we find that Sri Ramakrishna himself further explained it in that his event. Oh, how long I'm speaking? Only for the first day visit. What is the time? Is almost 11, 12, almost 12. Oh. Okay. So that when Sri Ramakrishna mentioned that at one point of time he had the desire to know what is the attraction of God's attraction. And God's attraction is the divine Maya called Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya attraction, what is that attraction? Because when God appears in human body, then there is a different kind of attraction is felt all around. So we find in the God incarnate, whether it is a Ramlala or Gopala or Godai, when they are small boy, whole village is attracted. Whole village is in Kamarpukur, the whole village, all the ladies will cook something, and that will be their excuse to come and visit the boy. And they come to see the boy. Chandamani Devi is there. Didi, I have made this thing for Gadai. Please take it. Where is Gadai like that? And they will be waiting to see Gadai. The attraction is there. Later on, we find that Sri Ramakrishna, after mm, um, years after his marriage, occasionally revisiting Kamarpukur, then he would be coming out from his uh, house, rural house, and would be seeing, and a palanquin will be made ready that he will be going to Jarambati somewhere. So there is a palanquin has come. And then he comes out, and there is the whole village, mostly ladies, they are standing there. Then he would ask Hidaram, why these people, why this crowd? Small village, but all villagers are there. And then they'll say, no, uncle, because you have finished your lunch and after that you have chewed the betel, the pan, so that makes the juice of betel leaf with lime that is edible and katha, it makes a red juice and that is making your lips red. So, so your fair skin, and he had a very fair skin, which he requested the Divine Mother to take back because people are only attracted looking at him. He was so radiating light. And you have a silken dhoti and chadar and all these things. So you are looking very nice. That's why people are waiting, waiting here to see you. Just a glimpse as you come out from your house and enter into the palanquin in between, whatever they can see you. So he explained like that. And Sri Ramakrishna was so disgusted, you know, so disgusted. What? To see me? These people are, I am not going anywhere. He entered again back into his house. You know how moody he was. So he said, I am not going anywhere. And tell the palanquin, go back, I'm not going. He was disgusted that people are attracted just seeing him. But it is not only seeing the physical beauty. The personality, the person itself has a massive, massive attraction because God has appeared in that body. So just people around, for they cannot explain to themselves why they want to see him. Old and young, men and women, everybody, everywhere, wherever he is, everybody wants to be near him. And especially if somebody is a religious minded person. So Sri Ramakrishna has explained that the attraction was so massive when once he wanted to know that what was the attraction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be going dancing through the villages and there the whole village will leave whatever they had at hand to do, they will come behind him and they will also follow him, singing, dancing. What was that attraction of Yogomaya, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He wanted to know. Because as you have heard of, Sri Ramakrishna had all sorts of curiosity in his mind. Curiosity, spiritual kind of, religious kind of curiosity. He wanted to know Jesus Christ. He wanted to know how these people, they do the virtue. All sorts of curiosity within the Hindu fold also, many, many different sects and their religious path. He had all sorts of curiosity. So here his curiosity happened that he wanted to know what is that Yogamaya power of attracting people. So when that appeared in his head, after that, it is not like he asked now and immediately that will be so. It, he had the desire, so Divine Mother will give it. After that, once he came to Kamapukur, and from there he went to Sior. Sior is the village of Hridayaram, his nephew, where his older sister's son is Hridayaram. So sister's family, they live there. And he went there to Hridayaram's house. And from there, there was a nearby village which is called uh, Sambazar. Now, Sambazar, there are many, many Sambazars are there. So, this Sambazar is called Puli Sambazar. There, he heard people said that would you like to go visit Puli Sambazar? Because Puli Sambazar had this uh, famous singer Nottovar Goswami. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, there are some occasions where the uh, Nottovar Goswami will come with his party and whole night of performance will be there. It is mentioned. So Nottovar Goswami was a very well known and well regarded, a wonderful those Kathavacha. Kathava. So Nottovar Goswami. So Nottovar Goswami lives there in Puri Sambal. So he said, yes, let me go. I would like to go visit him. And so they went to Nottovar Goswami. He stayed in Nottovar Goswami's house. But before even entering the village, he saw uh, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He saw. Sri Ramakrishna mentioned later on that those were the days when I would be seeing deities and gods and words with open eyes. I did not need to go into bhav samadhi and with closed eyes only see. With open eyes, he will be seeing. So he saw Gauranga Mahaprabhu even when before entering into the village. So he knew that the whole village is a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he entered there, and in no time, in that house where he was staying, Nataraja Goswami's house, whole village they arrived, and they came with coal and kartal and everything, and they started singing and kirtan and dancing. And Sri Ramakrishna would be immediately be attracted to those kind of bhajan going on. They are the all those well-known kirtan. And so he will also join and occasionally go into samadhi and then again return back from samadhi, again start dancing, again going into samadhi. So there the whole village, they became completely with rapturous attention following him and surrounding him. And for, he says, for 7 days and 7 nights, there were no time for any rest, or he got tired of this dancing. So occasionally he had to go back in the early morning hours to somebody else's. He says there's some those weavers family were there nearby, and I go there so that to have some breathing space. But in no time, again people will come there. They will find out where he has gone and they will capture. They will stay with him, they will sit and lie down there, and they will not allow him to go anywhere. And all the time they are singing and kirtan going on. And then he realized that this is called Yogomaya's attraction of Yogamaya. Then he requested Divine Mother to please take this attraction back. It's enough. I have seen enough. I don't need any more. Please take this. So he has, in those 4 years, when M was with Sri Ramakrishna, he has given his record of how he has seen Sri Ramakrishna. All those things were gone. The physical charm and some kind of a halo around his face or his body, or his this massive, abnormal, inhuman attraction, everything, they were already, he had requested Divine Mother to be taken away from him so that he doesn't require them. Not only doesn't require them, he thinks that they are detrimental to finding the genuine devotees of God. Because people are attracted for those different power, miracles, and all these things. He wanted to get rid of those miracles. So, M, when he thought of that, why I am feeling so very strongly attracted to Sri Ramakrishna, it was later on he learned that it is a natural thing to happen, and it was not something uh, unusual for him to feel that strong attraction. But this was a particular personality trait of Sri Ramakrishna that has been mentioned in the Gospel in the very beginning. Alongside that, he found Sri Ramakrishna to be highly uh, uh, learned person without any book learning, most simple and accessible person without any formality. You can approach him. He will be with all love and concern, he will be accepting you. He doesn't need anything from you. And he has got a very special attraction and charm that is palpable. He could feel it. He could see that it is there. Then he goes next day and sits there, and that is the day when his formal introduction, everything happened. Sri Ramakrishna inquires him that, uh, so why did he come here? Because he came next day because he was not coming from Calcutta back. He was coming from Baranagar where he was, his brother-in-law's house. So he learned, Sri Ramakrishna learned that it is the house of Ishan Kaviraj. Kaviraj is that family profession, the Ayurvedic doctor profession. Those with the last name of Gupta, that Mahendranath Gupta. So they were of that caste. Gupta, Dasgupta, Sen, etc., etc. Several last name holders are there in Bengal who used to be belonging to that particular caste. So there was one gentleman whose house it was, the family was known by the family of Ishan Kaviraj. And Sri Ramakrishna knew that gentleman. So as soon as he heard, oh, you are from Ishan Kaviraj, oh, yeah. So then Mahendranath Gupta describes Sri Ramakrishna that though he is a man of God and he goes into Bhav Samadhi and all sorts of things, but he is not aloof from the worldly awareness. He has got awareness of who are the other people living in this nearby, and he knows them personally, and he inquired about him. And then from the word Kaviraj, because it was Ishan Kaviraj, Kaviraj is about Ayurvedic doctor. From that, he changed the thing from, because this day he found Sri Ramakrishna more in a normal state of mind, and he was not in that high spiritual state of mind, only talking about God alone, which the first day he felt. So from there, he, because it reminded him of Kaviraj, he went to the reminded him of a patient who was seriously ill, and that was Keshav Chandra Sen. Keshav Chandra Sen was at that time seriously ill, so he from there he inquired, do you know Keshav Chandra Sen? And of course he knew Keshav Chandra Sen because he was a kind of follower of Keshav Chandra Sen. So he said, oh, so do you know how he was doing? Because he had heard that he was sick and he was very seriously sick. So, and then what M saw in Sri Ramakrishna, that with so simplicity, such as with a such simplicity and such unpretentious, nothing to hide, he could discuss anything with anybody. There's nothing to hide kind of thing. He started talking about that how much he felt the first time he heard that Keshav Chandra Sen was very sick. And he explained that he shed tears to Mother Kali and cried to Mother Kali, and he vowed, promised, in their language, there's a mano, that please cure Keshav Chandra Sen, mother, if he gets cured, then I will offer you green coconut and sugar. This was a particular kind of offering. Green coconut, they cut it and put a little more sugar. because if the green coconut is not of a particular tree or something, it may not be that sweet. Water will not be that sweet. So they add some sugar also, and that is offered. It is a kind of a traditional offering to many different deities in Bengal. So Sri Ramakrishna mentioned to this man whom he is seeing only second time, with whom he had no other relationship. He is talking with so much of intimacy. These are the private thing, personal relationship, how he feels like with Keshav Chandra Sen and all these things. And that he had cried to Mother Kali and prayed to her that please cure Keshav Sen. And for that sake, he had vowed that if he gets cured, then I will offer you green coconut with sugar. I cried to Mother Kali first time when I hear. And then M was so surprised to see this man who had nothing to do with Keshav Chandra Sen, only that he had met Keshav Chandra Sen, he liked him. He said that I like Keshav Chandra Sen. He's a man of God. He's a man of God, and so I like him. And therefore, when I heard that he was very sick, then I cried to Mother Kali, saying that Mother, please cure him. Otherwise, when I go to Calcutta, uh, who, with whom shall I talk about God? There are not many people are of that standard. He could give lectures. Sri Ramakrishna could advise people. But with talking with somebody and also hearing from him also back something that he will like, he thought case of sin was of accident. So he cried to Mother Kali that please uh, heal case of sin and make him well. And M has painted this with his this observation that he found that here is a man who is down to earth a person and who is so simple and so very uh, mm, unpretentious and so genuinely he is opening his heart up to me, whom he even doesn't know fully, but he is very much that simple. He accepts me. And after talking all these things, then he inquires about him. After this only, he again started inquiring about him. He inquires that, so tell more about you. Are you married? And then he said, yes, sir. And he got a shock. He said, oh, Ramlal, he's married. So he did not know that getting married was something wrong or bad. Why, why he has this kind of a reaction? Talking for the first time to a person, and he says, are you married? Yes. He is a 26-year-old school, small school headmaster. And he is married. So, and he said, oh, Ramlal, married. Then after some time, do you have children? And he said, children. Then he said, with a much more sadness in his voice, he said, oh, has got children also. So, and M, totally perplexed and totally, he had no clue why he is in the first place surprised that I am married and so sad that I have children. No idea that why this holy man should have this kind of a reaction. And then Sri Ramakrishna himself, Sri Ramakrishna's this thing has been nicely painted by M to tell that how very simple and informal he was. No formality, nothing to hide, everything is as it is. What you see him, that is what he is. He is not hiding anything. Then he consoled him. He consoled him and he told him the reason why he said all these things. He said, you know, you had gotten very wonderful religious science. That means you had great potential to become a great spiritual personality. By getting married and having children, now you are bound to your family. You cannot get out of there. You are now in a restricted uh, uh, zone where you have to stay there and you cannot freely come and do things that otherwise would have been very much possible. He said that I I see so much of great possibility in you, and then he said, I can recognize. He said, I can recognize people by seeing their face, by seeing their forehead. He said. In other times, he says by seeing their eyes also, by seeing many different areas, he could recognize people's many different personality trait or the possibilities, spiritual possibility. So Sri Ramakrishna mentioned that to console him, that it is not for nothing, and it is not that for everybody, whoever comes here, they should not be married or not have children. No, no. It is about him. It is about him that he thought that he had great possibilities. Of course, afterwards we find that Sri Ramakrishna gave him the responsibility of another wonderful aspect of Sri Ramakrishna, this divine play, that is producing this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and not only producing this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, but helping several dozens of young men and women to develop their own spiritual life who regarded him as their guru, though he never gave initiation or anybody. But coming to him, listening to him, being advised and inspired by him, they themselves became monks and nuns. There have been several dozens of them. And others who did not become monks and nuns, but they became great spiritual personality or great devotees of God. So M, in his later part of his life, he was a source of high spiritual inspiration throughout his life. And I have seen monks, uh, those who have been in close proximity of M and had visited him several times, listened to his discourses, etc. Discourse means private discourses. Like he'll be there, people will be coming and he'll be talking about them and all these things. And memoirs of that have been written by monks. So I have seen monks who have spoken so highly about him. So M, not that it was okay, he got married, he got family life, and therefore he couldn't do any more thing. Not like that. Not only the gospel, more than that. But this is what he said. Then he said, "Any you have any questions?" So he said, "So what shall I do to how a householder should live his life uh, to be devoted to God?" For in another place, he had asked, "Is it possible for God realization?" He has asked during this first four visits. He said, "Is it possible to realize God, see God?" And with all emphasis, Sri Ramakrishna on this immediately this question, which reminds us of the Narendranath coming to him and asking him suddenly, "Sir, have you seen God?" Like that. When Narendranath first came, so he had come to his room and he was just by himself sitting, nobody around. Narendranath also had asked, because he was at that time had the conflict in his mind that people talk about God, 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 but nobody has seen God, it appears. They only talk about God. How do they know that there is God? So is it really believable? So he was asking many others, and those all tried to dodge his question. Finally, he came to Sri Ramakrishna and he asked him this question. That, sir, he haven't seen God. And he got the good answer there for the first time. That was in the case of Narendranath, Swami Vivekananda. Here, M also had asked this question during his first visits of 4 days. He had asked that, is it possible to see God? And Sri Ramakrishna, similarly, with same emphasis, he mentioned, he said that, surely, absolutely, he said. He said, surely, absolutely. He said that if one would pray to God with all yearning and longing, then surely he can see God. So these are the things that he got during his first visit. And then when he asked, inquired about how to live in the world so that, but before even this question, I have actually jumped some portion where he got some kind of a rude awakening from Sri Ramakrishna. Yesterday I was telling that some movies about Sri Ramakrishna's life story or some popular writer writing his life story. So they depict Sri Ramakrishna as a very nice, easy devotee of God, a kind of a very soft kind of personality, but not necessarily. He would be strict and, if necessary, speak even harsh words that could hurt people's ego, if necessary, wherever it is necessary, so that he could help them rectify their misconceptions or misunderstanding. So when he inquired where you live, he said that I came here and I was in Ishan Kavira's house and all these things. He inquired about, are you married? Have you gotten children? And all these things. Then he said, how is your wife? Is she a nice person or under the influence of avidya? He mentioned the word used was avidya. Sri Ramakrishna was interested in people having a natural awakening of religious feeling or too much worldly minded person. There could be people who have so much worldliness in their head and heart that they have nothing to do with anything, religion or God or anything. That is a heavy cover of avidya or ignorance. And that is what Sri Ramakrishna inquired, that how is your wife? Is she good and nice? Or she is under the heavy influence of avidya? And what M said, because M had no idea about all of this avidya thing, M said, sir, she is nice. She is otherwise nice, but I am afraid she is ignorant. What he said. And immediately got the rebuke from Sri Ramakrishna. He said, and you think you are a man of knowledge, right? So he got a shock. He got a shock. He had never known this idea of avidya or ignorance in the spiritual sense, in the religious sense. Until now, he thought that vidya or knowledge is all about book learning. So people should be learned, they should go to schools and colleges and high education and all these things. That is learning, and a man is a man of vidya or learned person, and anybody who is not of that kind will be a person of avidya. So Sri Ramakrishna then explained to him that with a root shock he gotten from there, then it is avidya. Then Sri Ramakrishna asked him that what do you think of God? Do you like Sakar or Nirakar? With form or without form? Then he said, because he was deeply interested in the Brahmo Samaj thing. So he said, I like without form. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, that is good enough, but always remember that God can be with form as well. Never think that only Nirakar is the thing and those who are worshipping God in form, in any form, they are all wrong. Never think like that in your mind. Sri Ramakrishna advised him. Now, after that, what M did was the mistake of his lifetime. He has mentioned that after this conversation that finished there, he had his all the arguments and all this thing had completely come to a close, and he would never do any argument with Thakur again. What happened that after he said that never think in your mind that those who worship God in form, they are all wrong and mistaken. Don't think that. You are practicing whatever you are doing, that is fine, and you hold on to your path. Then he said, sir, because he was a Brahmo follower, and they thoroughly and regularly would be attacking the Hindus worshipping gods in many different images. So he said, but sir, those who worship God in clay image, they should know that the clay is not God. They are worshipping God, inherent God, not the clay image. They should know that. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, why clay? Why clay image you are calling it? It is the image of spirit, image of consciousness. He said in Bengali, Chinmay Murti. Why are you saying Matir Pratima, Chinmay Pratima? He said, why are you saying made of clay? The image of consciousness. He did not understand. He again asked, continued arguing. He said that, sir, those who worship this clay image, they should be told that don't worship clay and worship God who is everywhere. And worshipping is to God alone and not to the clay. They should be taught. And then Sri Ramakrishna said, you Calcutta people have got this hobby of teaching everybody. Uh, they don't think that who is teaching themselves. They need a lot of teaching themselves, but they have got this hobby of going and bringing light to others. Uh, they don't stop a moment to think about how to bring light for themselves. And then they say, who are you to go and teach people? Who are you? Have you known everything and learned everything? Then he said, Sri Ramakrishna said, God is the teacher. This is what Sri Ramakrishna said. God is the teacher who is in the heart of everybody as the indwelling spirit, Antarjami, indwelling spirit. God is residing in everyone's heart as indwelling spirit. If the teaching is necessary, then the teacher will come, God will teach in his own way, if it is necessary. But otherwise, worshipping God in form outside, that is also good for many people, and they are doing that. Who are you to teach people? Have you learned everything? Do you know everything? Have you seen God like that? So he gave him who until then considered himself a very learned, educated, highly respectable in the society a person. He was always a topper in the class, always a topper and very brilliant and a man of high intelligence, memory power, many different things, argument and all these things. So he thought until then that he knew better and he understood everything better and all these things. And here he felt so ashamed of himself after listening to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna gave straight away the answer face to face. And there was nobody there that in front of others he was trying to make him ashamed. And he felt so ashamed of himself that he is saying, right, who who I am to tell others what is right, wrong, God is this, not that, etc. How shall I know? I have not known anything about God, and I have no idea. I have no idea. I have not seen God or anything, and I am only talking about that people should be taught and they should be explained. Clay is not God, and also who am I? Yeah, he's right. Then he said that, please, sir, tell me how to live in life with devotion to God so that it could devotion be improved. Then he found within these 4 days of his visit, he had so many different things and so many different aspects of Sri Ramakrishna. He found that from others, rest of the pages of the gospel, they have further been corroborated and more enhanced. But within these 4 days of his visit, he had so many different aspects of Sri Ramakrishna found. As I mentioned here, here he found that Sri Ramakrishna is a great teacher. He can remove your ignorance and your misunderstanding, misconception, and he is not that all sweet and all kind and very nicely speaking person. If necessary, he will come like a thunderbolt and break open your heart and immediately dash all your misconception and understanding immediately. And then Sri Ramakrishna again became very sweet to him and he explained to him that how to be loving God and be a devotee of God. And uh, he explained what yesterday I was saying that he explained first that live in the world, don't give up your responsibilities, but always remember that God is the doer and he everything belongs to him alone. This he explained, and then he explained with his famous uh, parables and examples that he always gave while he would be teaching. So his teaching, Sri Ramakrishna gave, and he gave 4 examples there, with the very famous example of the maid servant working in the rich man's house, but his own son lives in village and he still she says that, oh, Ram is my Ram is very naughty, my Ram doesn't like this thing to eat, etc. Ram is uh, the Babu's boy, but she says my Ram, my Ram. But she knows in deep in her heart that my son actually lives in the village. Uh, the Ram is not my son. Therefore, live in the world, talk to people, behave with them as if they are your very own, and you do everything most sincerely, serve everybody, but deep in your heart, believe that everything belongs to the Lord. It is Him that He has everything. My home is not here. This is not nothing belongs to me. This example and couple of more examples he gave, three, four examples he gave. And M, through his wonderful way of narrative, he has given this picture of Sri Ramakrishna, that he is the teacher of the teacher, the greatest and the most uh, complex teachings of the scriptures, how Sri Ramakrishna could bring out in the simple most language and with the illustration of everyday examples, people could relate with themselves and they will have a clarity uh, ingrained in their head and heart so easily and perfectly. Another day, when he comes back, then he found the Sri Ramakrishna was surrounded by many boys. Narendranath, Bhavanath, and many others, they were seated there. And he saw Sri Ramakrishna so easily and so simply, he entering into their circle and talking like them. And he was so cheerful and he was making jokes so that everybody will be laughing and all these things. And then again, he will see in the same sitting that there will be singing and bhajan and others going, in which Sri Ramakrishna goes into deep ecstasy. So he now and then goes back into deep ecstasy and then he returns back into very normal cheer uh, way. So that aspect of Sri Ramakrishna's personality was very much he saw for the first time, and he described it that it was with so much ease that Sri Ramakrishna is now and then going into a realm of deep samadhi, and now and then he returns back and he can become a very cheerful and jovial, and he could be very easily accessible to people of many different age groups, etc. So I am closing it here with this very lengthy and extended. I don't think there's any question and answer today. I took all the time absorbed here that within this 3 4 days of M's returning back, because he was staying nearby, so it was possible for him to come back again quickly. And he saw the many different faces of Sri Ramakrishna. Sometimes he is in deep, indrawn mood. Sometimes he is very jovial and he is making fun with young boys. Those boys in their late teen, they feel like Sri Ramakrishna is one among them. And he is talking and joking with them, and they are also very free. Sometimes he is very serious and he is talking of the high spiritual teaching. Sometimes he is clarifying about the religion and aspect and removing all the doubts from the minds of them. So, the personality of Sri Ramakrishna, when we try to understand that what it was, then as we get from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it is hard to find anywhere else. This is one point. And another is that even within the Gospel, this first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, within 3 4 days, as we see Sri Ramakrishna mentioned or picture explained by M, that in itself is like a overall introduction to what is coming in the rest of the gospel. So thank you, and no more question.
No, one question from the chat, Maharaj. So just this will be the last one. So we'll finish after this question. So this is from Dr. Isha Raichudhuri. He's saying, she's writing here, thank you, Maharaj, for the vivid description of the contemporary Kolkata scene of Sri Thakur's life. The question is, To what extent did the traditional customs and values affect Thakur's uniquely wonderful personality, if at all?
He could become a bridge between the ancient or older tradition and life and culture, uh, and the transition that was rapidly to happen, and as we see it now in this modern world. In this modern life, most of the people, they have completely become cut off from what it used to be in the past. So Sri Ramakrishna is coming at that particular time, and he is being born and brought up in that rural Bengal. It could be rural Bengal or rural anywhere in India, it would be similar. He was carrying with him the link of the past. And then he was coming and staying in Calcutta, where he could welcome people who were coming, had no connection with the tradition and the past. But they were nevertheless very genuine seeker of truth. It is just like our modern day world, where people don't have their root in the past or root in the deep traditional practices or even knowledge. That means they have not studied the scripture in the proper way or anything, just a superficial knowledge. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a genuine hunger for spirituality. It will always remain like that in the world. So Sri Ramakrishna could become, what was the question says that,
What effect did the traditional values have on him?
yeah, on him, that he brought with him. He grew up there and remaining formally not that educated. uh, He remained untouched by whatever the formal education was giving at that time. He remained untouched. So he had the 100% purity of the old tradition, 100% purity. With that, he came and he met the people who were of a different kind of a mindset and different kind of a value in their head and heart. And he met them, he received them, he welcomed them, and he taught them in the right way.
So that's the bridge, sort of.
He became a bridge between the past and the present in this way, spiritually, so that the transition could be smooth.
Thank you, Maharaj. So we still have 10 minutes, Maharaj. So, if there are any questions,
Here is it.
yeah.
Sanket.
So thank you so much, Maharaj, for a deep dive into the personality of Sri Ramakrishna. Whenever we read the gospel, we simply seem to pass through these incidents, but you've given so much deeper insight into it. And you touched upon it briefly towards the end about how jovial and cheerful Sri Ramakrishna used to be. We read passages like everybody was laughing and rolling on the floor kind of thing. So can you also touch a bit more on the humorous side of Sri Ramakrishna's personality?
Oh, during these 4 days of his description, M has described one place that on the third day when he came, uh, he saw it was a Sunday, I think, 5th March, and therefore many people that was there and all this. Oh no, no, it was not. It was the second day, and this Naren and Bhavanath and all these things, they were there on the second day. That Sri Ramakrishna comes and he saws all these young men sitting there, many other young men, and then as soon as he enters the room, they were already in a very cheerful mood, and they were talking something that everybody were laughing. And then Sri Ramakrishna saw at him, he, he had entered the room and said, "Hey, look here! He has come back again." He says. So M was shocked to, to have this kind of reception. You know? Look here, he has come back again. So he was just stunned and stood there. And then Sri Ramakrishna gave the story. He said that the story is, he told the others, those who were seated there. He said that one peacock suddenly had flew to somebody cornice of the building and was sitting there. So this man went to the rooftop and gave him a small globule of opium. Because those were the days when opium were being prescribed by the Kaviras for running stomach. Small globule of opium you take, and that dysentery kind of thing will be instantaneously be stopped. So people had opiums. So this man, he gave a little bit of opium and to the bird. So the peacock took the opium and flew away. Next day, exactly at the same time, the peacock again returns back. So he said that the peacock had already gotten addicted to opium, and he wanted to come back to take this opium dose. Same time, again, same place, the peacock returns. So Sri Ramakrishna mentions that he got so he liked and loved and charmed visiting first time so much so that again he has returned back same place. So this is, and M in Sololoquy he mentions, he has noted down. Yes, he has spoken rightly. I have found it something so interesting and attractive and so charming, just like a dose of opium, that I could not but had to come again back. So this kind of thing. When Sri Ramakrishna said that and he told that story, everybody laughed and they go. So Sri Ramakrishna would be occasionally telling things to make people laugh.
Thank you, Maharaj. So we'll end with the song that speaks to what you were saying yesterday and today also. Sing that song. So everybody should sing together. Properly Tomari Icha. সকলি তোমারি ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা লোকে বলে করি আমি সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা লোকে বলে করি আমি সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা পঙ্কে বাধ্য করো করি অম্বুরে লঙ্ঘাগিরি পঙ্কে বাধ্য করো করি অম্বুরে লঙ্ঘাগিরি কারে দাও মা ব্রহ্ম সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা, ইচ্ছা বই তারা তুমি, তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা, লোকে বলে হরি আমি, সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা। আমি যন্ত্র তুমি যন্ত্রী, আমি ঘর তুমি ঘরণী, আমি যন্ত্র তুমি যন্ত্রী, আমি ঘর তুমি ঘরণী, আমি রথ তুমি রথী, যেমন চালাও তেমনি চলি, আমি রথ তুমি রথী, যেমন চালাও তেমনি চলি, সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা, ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি, তোমার কর্ম তুমি করো মা, লোকে বলে হরি আমি, সকলি তোমার ইচ্ছা। ब्रह्मार्पणम् ब्रह्महवि ब्रह्माग्नो ब्रह्मणाहुतम् ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यम् ब्रह्मकर्मसमाधिना। हरि ओम तत्सत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।